Good morning to everyone. Today is November 11th, 2024. Um, a lot of a lot of the people who know me in the climbing community out here in Kelowna, BC, or who have just met me over the last 10 years of my life, um, they're meeting me now. They're not meeting me, for the person who I was through my 20s. So there's a huge history of my story that not many people are aware of nowadays. Today being, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, I figured it'd be a good time to go over some cliff notes of everything that kind of happened without going into the details of a 10-year career. It'd just be impossible. Now, I joined the military when I was when I was 17 in 2003. I was in the Navy Reserves as a Marine Engineering System Operator, formerly known as like a DMEC. Um, I did that until about 2007 when I transferred over to the regular force as a naval electronics technician, dealing with sophisticated radar systems and weapon systems and a bunch of weapons of death. And I did that until 2014. In 2011, I found out that I was being posted to HMC at Charlottetown that was going through a unique project that the military, the Navy specifically, had never done at that point, and that was that the ship was coming back from a deployment, and uh, my crew was tasked with turning the ship around, getting it ready to go back over for deployment in January from October when we walked on board. So it was a massive undertaking. There was a lot of stress, a lot of late nights from October to January. We didn't know showing up to work in the morning if we were going home at nighttime, which obviously adds to a lot of relationship stress with your partners, especially for those who had family. But, it's the military. This is the way it is. This is the business that we were involved in. And so we set off and we did a 6 month refit in like a month and a half, 2 months. November, December, we set off to do workups, which is like war games. Make sure the ship is ready and the ship's company is ready to, fight fires and floods and be battle ready. Just literally workups. Um, my favorite part of it all is the 24-hour battle scenario where everything on the boat is busted. Our enemies have unlimited resources and airplanes, and we get attacked all day long. It's extremely exhausting, but after all the stress and exhaustion and whatnot, it's kind of funny. Um, so we finished that up, and then we had a 2 week break for Christmas, so that everyone, basically use up the rest of our leave. And then early January we deployed until I believe it was October when we returned from that. Now, the vast amount of level of stress that the entire ship's company was going through was it was life changing for a lot of people. The two crazy examples I have. One of them was this guy named Matt. I can't remember his last name. I think he was like a sonar operator or something. And before we got posted to the ship, he had a full head of hair. And then from October to January, he lost all of his hair, like completely bald, doesn't grow. And then didn't have hair the entire deployment. And then when we got back, about a month after we got back, his hair actually started coming back in. So that whole stress kills is, stress has many ways that it takes effects on the human body. Personally, for myself, after we returned in late 2012, around February 2013, I woke up one day and I ended up with Bell's palsy. So half of the right side of my face completely lost all motor functions. I couldn't blink my eye. I had to tape it closed at nighttime. I couldn't move my mouth. My nose was like collapsed, just absolutely nothing. And all the way up until that point, I thought that I was dealing with the stress and circumstances, pretty well. I always thought that I handled things like that very well, but the truth of the matter is I didn't really have, very effective ways to release stress at that time until it all kind of accumulated and then my body started shutting down on me. And it was a very big eye opener. Now, it was right around this time that I actually got introduced to climbing from an old buddy of mine from Halifax, Chris Burns. And climbing very quickly became the outlet that I used in order to deal with all the stress that I was going through, which, as you look at the content of my channel and what it is that I do right now, my ebbs and flow of life, it's all about climbing, because to me, that is the mechanism I use that saved my life. So 2024 is officially 10 years that I retired. So October 31st, 12 o'clock Pacific time, or Atlantic time in Halifax, I handed in my military ID card. Got back to my house that I was selling and packed up my car, and I was getting ready to leave in the early mornings to set off for a new life. Part of the whole situation was that basically in the last 3 months that I was in the military leading up to the end of October, I lost my partner at that time. We had been together for 8-9 years. In part of losing my partner, recognizing that I could no longer be involved in the military or around it because I was about to go nuclear. Lost my partner. I had 2 dogs I had to find new homes for. I had a beautiful house that I had to throw everything out, put it up for sale, and basically set off to become without a home, not knowing, for certain what the rest of my life was going to entail. Now, over the last 10 years, I didn't really think that I would be here today. They're pretty heavy words for me to echo into the universe, but if it wasn't for meeting the right people at exactly the right time, I would utterly not be here today. So, in some sort of fortunate, weird turn of events, I was able to kind of always at least try to find a little silver lining to keep me going. And honestly, it wasn't really until I got down into Chilliwack. I was not doing very well mentally, spending an awful amount of time alone in the woods, and kind of recognizing that I was losing my attachment to people. And it was a pretty scary moment when I recognized that in myself. So I had decided at that time that I needed to do something to bring me back to be around people. So I decided back probably 7 years ago now that I started doing open mic down in Chilliwack at a old bar called Triple Plays, and there was a bunch of old people who used to call themselves the F-Tards, and they kind of took me in. And months of hanging out there doing open mic, meeting all these beautiful people, I decided mentally it was time that I needed to let people around me know what was going on with me. And so one night I showed up to open mic and all the old people were there, and I was like, hey, listen, there's something that you guys all need to know about me. Blah, 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 which was followed by, yeah, we know, but we couldn't do anything until you let us know, and now we can be there for you. And there was a lot of kind of space just given to me. If I was having a bad day, They let me have a bad day and, tried to crack jokes, pulled me out of it. It was good. Without all of those people, again, I probably wouldn't be here. And then I also met some people that helped me start the process of some paperwork for Veteran Affairs and just trying to get my military pension into my name, which was probably like a 5-year battle with Pensions Canada and struggling to get compensation and coverage from Veteran Affairs for the tinnitus that I have in both my ears and the hearing loss that I have. None of these processes were easy, and if none of you guys understand this, Veteran Affairs and all of the government agencies are not there to protect veterans. Their sole purpose is to vet people from getting access to the programs that they're entitled to. You as a veteran have to basically plead with these people, doing all of their weird paperwork that takes months and months to process to get coverage for the access to heal yourself. When I retired, I had absolutely no help. There was nobody from the government that was there to point me in the directions of all of these programs. A lot of them I could have used at the time to really help myself, and it would have alleviated a lot of the struggles that I was going through. However, I was essentially just cast away with no understanding of how to go about any of these processes. Kind of meeting all those people in Chilliwack. One of the guys was working for the local Legion, who was able to help me, and started the process. We got all that stuff done, and now, so from that moment to now, over like the last 5 years, it was kind of turbulent all the way up until about 3 years ago. I decided that I was going to move into my van and just kind of to get away from people and see who calls, see who are the people that echo back. So I started a process of learning to be comfortable with myself, with all the dark thoughts and everything, casting everyone away, and kind of by the end of it, I started to find myself and find my rhythm, truly depending on myself and not holding other people around me. You would expect that the people that are around me would be there to support me, but the truth is, nobody cares. And that might be a tough pill for everyone to hear, but on a day like today, the government pays us not to go to work, but there are a lot of people, especially young people, who don't care. Veteran Day is just a statutory holiday for people to be at home. Meanwhile, there's homeless people on the streets, a lot of mental health problems. I always call today like give a veteran a hug day. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the truth is that Veterans Day doesn't really matter to anyone. There's a lot of Afghan vets. They're dealing with a lot of struggles. I'm lucky because I'm a Navy vet, which is completely different than a combat vet who, boots on the ground, rifle in hand. I just spent an awful lot amount of time on a boat in the middle of the ocean doing absolutely nothing to protect Canadian rights and freedoms. But we did it. I got all these medals, which mean absolutely nothing to me. To be honest, it was more just bureaucracy that led to the government issuing medals versus anything that was of substance. At the time, people's careers were riding on the deployment. and the crew were the ones who had to suffer the consequences. You take a look at the shape of our military today, and there's not a lot of people that are in it. There's a call to arms. However, you can't convince young people to go and join regardless of relaxing haircuts and putting tampons in the men's bathroom. Turns out that none of them want to go and answer the call to, our country. And rightfully so, because why would they? Go look at the streets, at the veterans. Go take a look at the numbers of veterans who commit suicide, that are homeless. From my deployment alone, I would very much today like to know how many of us got divorced upon our return home, how many of the people that I served with killed themselves, how many were thrown in jail, how many are still serving. These are stats that the government doesn't collect, they wouldn't share. It's basically you go and do the job for the government, and they promise to take care of you until you come home, and then you're home and nobody cares. So for all of you that are going out today, you don't really know what to do. It's just coming up on 9:30 in an hour. There's a ceremony downtown at the Cenotaph. I'll be down there hanging out by myself. Not by myself. I'll be hanging out with all the other people that are there. I express, all of you to come down, be around, see the people, the young men, young women that are there, not the 100-year-old World War II vets, but the ones that came back from Afghanistan. Come down and give your appreciation to those people. Kind of pretty stoked that I'm still here today, which is, I never thought that I would be here. Like, there's no other way to say it. So to be able to sit here today, 10 years after all of my struggles to get to this point, I'm feeling really good, kind of feeling like myself, accomplishing a lot in the sports and with the things that I really want to do in life. So I think I'm one of the lucky ones that is just too stubborn to give up. But make sure that you, when you pass by a veteran today, just give your appreciation for the service that everyone has given to this country. And looking forward to the next 10 years. I don't know what it's going to bring, but I tell you what, I'm pretty freaking stoked to do a lot of things. So I'll leave everyone with that. Again, if you ever want to know the details of some stories that I can remember and whatnot, just come and ask me, and I'll tell you a funny story. I'll tell you a sad story. If you ask me, what's my position on whether or not you should join the military, the answer is a resounding no. Don't do that. You can accomplish so much more with your life. But come join me. I'll be down at the Cenotaph. I look forward to seeing all you guys, and looking forward to getting into my winter training. Peace and love.